Alrighty. So, this is going to be Vegas predictions of the video. Basically, I have my friend with me, Xavier,
Hello.
the man, the myth. Um, and basically, we just have like all these links pulled up. This one became worthless. That's just going to be going over what we're what you should expect and what we want to see and what we think will be at Vegas. Seeing as obviously we're not going to be at the Vegas regionals, we thought we'd just make a video to show everyone kind of what to look out for, what to expect, how to build your side deck, what you would bring, what's good tech cards to bring, good things in certain matchups, all that kind of stuff. So the resources that we're just grabbing is I watched most of the Orlando stream. I'm not sure. How much did you watch of the Orlando stream, Xavier?
Maybe 4 games.
Okay. So,
I saw a lot of Trunks.
so you just saw the Trunks guy play the most?
Yeah, one of them, at
Yeah,
least.
it was. I think it was literal one guy. Yeah, in top 32, there was one Trunks leader. So it was the one guy. That guy gained a lot of popularity, which obviously we're going to be talking about a little bit. Other than that, we can go over some of the ARG deck lists and cards that we see very consistent amount of. This is probably the best information to go off of when you're going into a regional. Basically, what happened, what played at the last regional, which happened almost 3 weeks ago. So the meta, nothing new came out, so no new cards came out, so nothing's really going to shift that much. The next regional, though, will be a very interesting one due to new cards coming out. We get the villains and the heroes set, and that should shake things up, especially with the overrealm mechanic. If that
Hopefully.
becomes, hopefully, if the overrealm mechanic becomes good enough,
Relevant.
yeah, it'll be pretty sweet. And obviously, we already have some deck idea floating around those cards.
I think they said set 3 and 4 will be the overwhelm block. So
Ooh. So are they gonna do blocks with specific keywords in them, kind of like how Magic does it? I haven't read anything about that.
let's see. On the villain one, it says March 2018 marks the beginning of the overwhelm block. Series 3 and 4 will make up the overwhelm block, rise to the top with your cross-dimensional champions. So I'm assuming set 3, which comes out in March, will be overwhelm, along with set 4.
Okay, so they're probably just gonna make. I wonder what they mean by overrealm. I don't know if that's like a Dragon Ball thing or if that's just specifically targeting the keyword of overrealm.
It might be a little bit of both. I know, at least like art-wise, I'm pretty sure some of those characters, at least in the villain box, is from the, what is it, Xenoverse, or however you pronounce it, game.
Okay. Yeah, I'd never played the Xenoversus games. Did you? Did you?
No, I've heard they're fun, but I have not personally played them.
Okay, so I see we're on the same. The only Dragon Ball Z game I played is I played Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and Budokai 3.
Yeah, I've played the Budokais, the Tenkaichis, but
Dude,
not the new ones.
I remember when the first Budokai game came out. That was the most fun shit on the planet because nobody really ever saw. The story mode was just so good. You just play through DBZ, and it's ooh,
Yeah.
it got the fanboy hyped up inside of me. Um, all right, so Vegas. We probably have the same opinion. Everybody on the face of the earth probably has the same opinion that plays this game of what's going to be seen at Vegas. Mecha Frieza is the leader, is the boogeyman deck. Everybody either wants to play it or wants to beat it. In my opinion, that's kind of where the game sits right now. Is everyone's playing Mecha Frieza, and how do we beat Mecha Frieza?
which
Um,
is kind of unfortunate, but
so the one thing when you're going into a big tournament, when there's a boogeyman deck, especially like this one, the one thing you got to keep in mind is if you're not playing the boogeyman deck, you got to know how to beat the boogeyman deck. And if you are playing the boogeyman deck, then you got to know how to get an upper hand on the mirror match. Those are that's basically common sense. But the one thing you got to look out for, and the one thing that I like to mention, is even though there's a boogeyman deck, if you try to tech too hard against it, there's still a super high chance that you never even see it. You know, you only see it once or twice. It becomes
yeah.
just like the standard matchup and not something that you would expect to see a lot. Where I got all the experience about that one was my second Grand Prix attendance, where I was playing. Um, this is in Magic, where it was in Aetherworks Marble at Grand Prix Omaha, the Grand Prix before the card got banned. It was it was Aetherworks it was like play Aetherworks Marble or lose to Aetherworks Marble is what the meta felt like. There was some, there was like some other decks in there, but basically what you were expecting going into that kind of Grand Prix was, are you going to lose to it or are you going to play it, in the sense. And in the 15 rounds that I got to play, I only saw maybe 2 or 3 of them at the most. Every other one of my matchups was people who were not people just weren't playing the marble deck because they were comfortable with something else, is what it felt like. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's the mindset you want to go in with, where you know of a deck that you might see a lot of. But there's also that small chance that if you tech too hard against it and you don't see it at all, your opportunities of day twoing just go way farther down because you teched against a deck that was non-existent. And like to your 9 rounds to get the day 2, I think is what it was. So you just want to keep that in mind when you go into a big tournament, especially when there's a deck that's out there that's swamping the meta. Don't If you're not playing that deck, don't try to beat specifically that deck and lose to every other deck. Try to keep all your matchups 50-50, and then after board, you want to be in the 65-70, 30 in the favor. That's normally what you want to aim for. And then any bad matchups that you would have with a deck that you would bring, try to keep those as minimal as possible. If you can get your matchup percentages to 45, 55, or even 50-50 after board, you're looking a lot stronger as someone who's prepared to play 9 rounds than you are with a person who's just giving up matchups. What's great about this game is that there's really no like 100% lose matchups. There's always a way to make your deck better around a certain matchup to avoid just getting donked out. So, first thing I want to go into is what the metagame was at Orlando. So somebody took the top 32 deck list. I'm basically using outside resourcing on the Reddit post. So the one thing I want to take in the top 32 deck lists is, so you see the leaders here. You have Mecha Frieza. There was 12 of them. There was 6 Cell, 4 Blue Vegeta, 4 Soul Striker Gokus, which is the starter deck Goku, 2 Androids, 1 Trunks, 1 Goku Black, 1 Golden Frieza, and 1 Ginyu. The surprising ones here, obviously, as you could tell, is the Ginyu, Golden Frieza, Goku Black, and Trunks. So these were the rogue decks for the most part. These people probably made it in solely off of just, I want to say, just being a better player or bringing a deck that nobody expected and was able to just swoop under people's meta's expectations and was able to get to that day 2 record.
Is this Goku Blacklist using like the promos and whatnot?
That is, yeah. Well, they were definitely using joyfuls. Uh, Let me see if I can find the deck list real fast.
Yeah, I'm looking for it as well.
Yeah, I see it right here. Goku Black. Um,
Despair, Goku Black.
Joyful, Zamasu the Invincible, Vegeta Prince of Speed. Yeah, he was playing 4 Black Rose and 4 of the big Black Rose. And
Okay.
2 Zamasu the Invincible is the 3 drop. He wasn't playing the 10 drop, so he was just trying to land destruction people to death.
Okay.
It doesn't look like he was Weesing at all. Oh yeah, he was resting attendant. Never mind. How many Bulmas did he put in? He put in 4.
Four
Jesus.
Bulmas.
I think I go over that in another thing. I'm not a huge fan of 4 of the Supreme Kai and 4 of the Bulmas. I normally like playing 2 and 4, and he's also playing 4 energy boosted Majin Buu. Dude's got 1 drops.
Yeah, it does.
Dude's got a lot of 1 drops. And it looks like the only reason he is playing Zamasu the Invincible, other than like being an okay 3 drop. I know like it's indestructible, but I mean, he just has like one. It's for the one Warrior of the Gods Goku Black, so he plays 5 Goku Blacks. But other than that, it looks like he's literally just trying to kill people with. He's just a mono blue control deck with a casual play Joyful into big Goku Black. He wasn't even playing the Unyielding Trunks. That super surprises me. You know the blue Trunks combo card that lets you untap? Because you could do crazy things with that.
The card's very good.
So
this is a pretty interesting list. I mean, I really like the unstable Despair Goku Black mana destruction path.
Yeah.
Our list might differ a little bit, but
yeah, there's obviously some. I have easily different opinions than this person. But I mean, the man top 32, so you can't really hate the guy. He actually pulled it out.
Yeah.
I
was a little surprised on the androids.
Using the androids leader?
Well, I kind of expected a little bit more. I wasn't. I only knew of Mark and I think Tyler in our area was using the starter deck Goku, so that was a little bit surprising for me.
A lot of people have actually been saying that the starter deck Goku deck is really good because you can play super aggressive with it, and it's like, you just untap on top of all that. And you still get to play like cool cards like Unyielding Trunks, like a lot of the good blue staples that work with blue leaders. Also, what's a really cool thing is that if you play the Son Gohan combo card, the 1500 that comes into play, you can just like play blue mana, play a Boo, attack, untap that blue, and then just do the Son Gohan on their turn as a defensive play if they try to get aggressive on you. Or you can even like get more aggressive and like play turn 1 Boo, attack with your leader, untap it, they take a damage, and then attack with Boo, and then combo with the Son Gohan on top of it. That's also like something cool you can do. So you get a 5,000 and a 1,500 on turn on your first turn if you're going second.
It's kind of like
It's kind of like playing the Trunks
fair
deck.
Frieza, a fair Frieza in some ways.
Yeah, because
you get like a pseudo kind of tap out control-ish thing.
The only good thing about playing Golden Frieza though is like you get to untap yellow for Cold Bloodlust, but the biggest downside is you have to sacrifice your garbage 1-drops to do that.
And you also have to just play that leader.
True. The leader's like not bad, but just you having to kill your things is what makes it suck. If that card was like started at Goku, where you just like attack and then you get to untap 2 energy for free. Ooh. That card. That leader would be so good. So I'm looking at one of the android decks. Yeah, it looks like he is just on the Cell plan and just playing the. Was he playing all the twin sister ones? Yeah, he was 1 Chilling Terror, and 4 of the twins. So yeah, he was just like twin blue-green aggro with a casual cell thrown in there. He was playing 4-4-3 of the cell, which I think I would be playing. I think I would play 4-3-3 of the cells personally, because you can fit like another Chilling Terror Android or something to play on turn 2.
Yeah, the other one's using 444.
The other Android list is using 4-4-4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just looks like they're on the cell plan. They just wanted to awaken earlier. Probably lets them play like less TNs. I'm amazed a lot of people didn't go red with that, so you can play Kaba instead of playing TN, which TN is like TN's
The
a
one
good.
at the top is playing red.
Oh, the one at the top is playing red.
Yeah, it looks
This
like it says the Champa double strike. I see some Mighty Masks, some Kabas. So yeah, the top one's using red.
Yeah, and he went down to 2 TNs, which is what I like a little bit more. I mean, the less TNs that you can play and still have the ability to flip, I think is like really good, because TN is a terrible card to see outside of turn 1 or 2. It's the same thing as objection, where you don't want to
Yeah.
see more than one, because then they just get weird. And then
So four of the 5-drop 18, it looks like. 2 of the 5-drop 17, and then 4 each for the 3-drops as well. This is actually kind of close to Mark's list a little bit.
Was Mark playing red green?
Well, Mark was playing the Champas. I don't know if he was playing Kabas and Mighty Mass.
I think
he might have in an updated list. This one still seems pretty all in on the cell plan, but
yeah, especially when you're playing 4-4-4, you can really cut in my opinion, you can really cut those numbers down. So you're playing either like more tech cards, but it's also really nice to, it's just like the argument of playing 4 boos and 4 of the bigger boos. Like one of them is really clunky, but you always want to see it in your deck. I guess it's just like the same reasoning that he's using there, but he has to take up 12 slots for it. I feel like if you just play like 4-3-3.
The Broly package, right?
Yeah. Well, the Broly package is, we were on 4-2-4 forever, and then I went up to 4-3-4.
Yeah. So I think you could do the 4-3-4 if anything. Just personally, I'm still not a huge fan of the 5-drop, but
you don't want to do it with Perfect Force Cell though, because you always want to get it out of your deck. You don't want to pay 7 mana for the big idiot. I think if I was making the deck, I would play 4-3-3.
4-3-3.
Just so you have more rooms for like tech cards on matchups that you're probably testing a little harder against. Android 16s I think are going to be really good to bring in main boards, especially if you're playing Androids. Just having a tutored counter to red threats is really good.
Yeah, the top one was maining 3 Sun Goten Family of Justice, probably for that reason.
How do you feel about main decking Sun Goten Family of Justice? When you say the top deck, are you talking about the Mecha Frieza one?
The Android one.
Oh, okay, the upper one.
It's 1, 2,
but he's
3 from the top.
He's playing Mighty Mask, right?
Yeah, he's green red.
Yeah, so that makes sense as why he's playing 3 of those.
But if you're talking about like when we played Wuhan for the best of 1 tournament,
yeah,
it was pretty useless, honestly. Whether that's because our local area didn't pay attention that it was best of 1, I don't know if that played a part into it.
So would you play Sun Goten outside of Mighty Mask in the main deck?
Depends on what I'm playing. I think you can get away with it in the Buhan list.
Would you play it in, like, let's say the blue green yellow tempo Frieza? Would you play it as a 1 or a 2 of?
The one from that we were playtesting last night?
That was blue yellow.
Oh yeah. I think with Frieza you could get away with a one or two of.
Now, the one thing to keep in mind is I think one of the more popular cards that are coming up is the Promo Gohan for obvious reasons. The Promo Gohan is it's basically like an awakened leader that you can murder. And I
Yeah.
think that's like the one reasoning why I'd bring in either one or two Sun Goten in the main. If you're expecting a lot of red threats, um, that come in like that turn 3, turn 2 area, it kills Kaba really well. It kills Sun Gohan really well. It kills all of the combo creatures that come into play. It kills all of those. I think that's where it sees a lot of its strength. When people attack really aggressively and put the combo creatures into play, so the combo battle cards when they come into play, if they do it aggressively, on the crackback, if you have the Sun Gotens, you can punish them really badly for that, and I think it's a really big plus for when you do that. When you attack, so like in the scenario that I gave with the starter deck Goku, you're going second, you play turn one Boo, you attack with your leader, and then you attack with Boo, and then put a Sun Gohan on it. Well, on the crackback, you can attack their Boo and then Sun Goten to kill their thing. So now they're just like you just cleared their board, and they just lost a card out of that, two cards for the most part. They had to do one for energy and using the Sun Gohan as combo, while you gain two cards from taking two life in that scenario. So the card swing there could possibly make you win the game in the early game just from that happening. So you don't have to awaken to kill those 1500s. You can just play the Sun Goten to take care of it before you're flipped. And I think that's where the strength of that card exists.
Agreed.
But other than that, I don't know if there's any other time I'd ever see those main board outside of playing Mighty Mask where it's something you could tutor up for certain niche situations. But the one thing is if you're expecting a lot of that, personally, I don't think I'd be expecting any of that. But there has been a lot of videos and a lot of people saying that those like those like combo creature cards have been like some of the best cards that they've been playing. And if that word gets spread enough, it kind of incepts an idea into people's minds where they're just like, oh, I have to play four of these, and the best way to punish those four of those is Jocko's and Sun Goten Family of Justice. So that's like I think that would be like one thing to keep in mind when deck building and preparing for a regional.
Because I think Jocko kind of handles that situation a little bit better. Obviously, it depends on what colors you're playing, but I think Jocko fits in a little bit easier as a main board tech to deal with those kind of problems.
Jocko definitely does it better against TN. Kind of like getting that free time walk off on them is really strong. But the thing is when they do it defensively, the best way to punish is it with Gotenks, because if they do it defensively, Jocko can't punish that. So that's another thing you can keep in mind is if when you're playing those kind of cards and you're expecting people to bring a lot of those tech cards where it comes to like Jocko and all that kind of stuff, try playing more defensively with them. And that's like the biggest punish you could do. Kind of make Jocko, it makes Jocko a dead card in their hand, especially if you're playing green. When you're trying to slam a TN, if you try to slam a TN on 2 and just stare at your opponent and ask if they have it, if they're playing Frieza, right now I'm leaning on putting like 3 Jockos, maybe even 4 in main boards for certain decks if I'm trying to play more tempo and less combo-y, or like less, like a do the thing kind of deck. 4 Jockos has been really good just to keep green leaders from just slamming down TNs on you and just gaining all the advantage when you're trying to play the tempo deck that does that. So if you play TN defensively where they attack and you combo with TN, you get a TN in field, and if they can't punish it, which sometimes you got to play it a little smart, wait till they tap out so they can't just remove it right off the bat. You get a TN, an active one, that's gonna probably do work, at the minimum flip you.
Amazing card.
It it was a card that I want to assume everybody thought that card was trash until you notice it's not once per turn.
Yeah.
That card,
Yeah.
I think that card was straight garbage the first time I saw it. Until you notice the not once per turn thing, and then I was just like, you can do that, and eye opening, eye opening.
Eye opening. 3 of 4 of most decks at a point.
All right, here's another good card to talk about. Resulta Training. Would you bring Resulta Training as a main board card to tech against the slower tempo decks or the combo decks that try not to flip you?
I'm going to say yes, because I was debating on doing this when we were doing the blue, green, yellow Frieza with the Broly package.
Now, I hate it in Frieza. I absolutely hate it in Frieza.
And that's perfectly understandable. I never actually put it in any of the Frieza decks. It only happened really at one tournament where I had the thought that if I had Result of Training, I just would have had a much smoother game. I've really liked Result of Training since it set 1. But it kind of has some niche situations.
Very niche. And that's like the one thing I tried to avoid at all times when building any form of deck. Anytime I look at a meta, anytime I go into a tournament, you try to have the most versatile cards in your deck, especially your main deck, as possible, where singularity niche situations don't exist. And the argument that gets brought up is that every card can just be mana if it's not going to be useful, which is true.
But every card's mana.
But every card's mana at that rate. And would you rather have a card that has 2 to 3 uses, that also has the potential to just be mana, or would you rather have the card that has this one use that you'll probably see one every 4 to 5 games and also be mana? So normally you're just putting a dead card in your hand. In Magic, it's just like getting flooded. You just get flooded with dead cards. Biggest reason why me and you and just don't like Monica. It's one of the reasons I don't like Monica.
Monica and for objection as well.
Yeah, and for objection. For objection also goes into that same. You want to take as many dead cards out as possible, but at the same time, the cards like Monica, cards like Objection are really good in only half of the game. In the other half, they become worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's like the one thing to keep in mind. Do you think Monica will once again be a 4 of in almost every single Frieza deck?
For Vegas? Absolutely.
So you think everybody? You don't think? You think everybody is going to be playing for Monica? You don't think 3 weeks of extra testing, especially with the showing of the Trunks deck, showing of starter deck Goku's, is from what I've been seeing. Just like these aggro Vegito decks, like the ones that I mentioned, you can build like a red Majin Vegeta that tries to force out Vegito on turn. Vegito here to save the day on turn 4. Same thing with like Brawly trying to force out a Vegito on turn 4. With decks like those on the up and up, which I feel is more and more common. Especially with people like Dusty from Kitchen Table Meta, which literally just had a stream with about 100 people watching, and also WoW on the Orlando stream was just saying like, this Trunks deck is amazing. I mean, the guy did only top 8. He didn't win the whole thing. It would have been crazy if he did. But I mean, the deck still did top 8. I think it's still in the spotlight of a real deck that people will be looking at. And if people do bring it, they're not going to be changing the main board, in my opinion, a whole bunch. I think the main board that the guy brought was not the worst. He really aimed for not drawing dead cards, minus the 3 resulted training in the main, which I think I only casted against you once in our testing games against Buhan, and
That sounds about right.
I don't know if I won that game or not. I think I did, because if I make it to 5 mana, I'm either really losing really badly, or I just have enough control of the game where you can't cold bloodlust me at that rate.
I actually don't remember the ending record. I know I lost 3 games.
So we played 7 games. It was 4-3 in the Buhan deck's favor.
Okay.
So
Looking at the leaders, I'd expect some fluctuation. I'd expect actually maybe a drop down in Frieza.
I think honestly, I think Frieza's gonna bump up by 2. I think anybody that was planning on bringing Golden Frieza or Ginyu is just gonna switch over to Mecha Frieza, or just like going over like this list. I think Cell and I think Trunks is going to be the second most popular deck.
Agreed.
So I think Trunks. I think everybody saw that Trunks deck, and everybody was just like, I want to play this deck. And a lot of people were probably playing it and probably saw really good results with it, because the deck is, in my opinion, it's really straightforward. You could play it really aggressively, or you could play it kind of mid-rangey, so it fits 2 different forms of play styles. And in my opinion, I think it puts up really good results for and probably people's locals, people's testing, especially if Mecha Frieza decks are bringing Monica in their main. Their game ones probably felt really strong, like probably like felt super favored in all their game ones against Mecha Frieza, because Monica was just killing their opponent for them. While the Trunks deck, the way I was playing it was just like hyper aggro, or I killed you on turn 2 on a game, and then the other games is just like you had 11 cards in hand, but you only had 3 mana to work with. If people are trying to bring stuff like Buhan and stuff like that, there's very high chance that they're playing it incorrectly, or they change the build up. That was the one thing that we mentioned. If you're bringing a list and you're taking cards out like for the Buhan deck, for example, if you're taking cards out like Hercules, things like
the promo Gohans.
Yeah, promo Gohans, energy boosted Majin Boos, anything that's like your 0 combos. If you take out a lot of, like, Sensu Beans is another one of those. If you take out those 0, like the things that make you not die easier, you're gonna have a hard game against aggro, 100%. You're giving up, you're drawing dead cards, especially if you get flipped really early and you draw Monicas like either 1 or 2 times, like Monicas or the 4 objections that you're bringing in the main deck. If you get put to 4 and you see those cards just become dead against an aggro deck, especially the Trunks deck. The Trunks deck just keeps really good hand size every time, 4 to 5 cards, and those 4 to 5 cards are just like super devastating that you have to answer every single one of them. And they don't lose that much hand. The only time that they ever lose card advantage is when they are playing energy, and even then, Kaba neutralizes that card loss. If they play a turn 1 Kaba, turn 2 Kaba, they they +2 cards. They're gonna have a 6-card hand again at all times, because if they're just cycling a card off of Trunks, like off of the Trunks leader ability, you're doing great. And if you get too aggressive on Trunks, then they get to draw even more cards. So you got to get in this like comfortable feeling of playing against an aggro deck and bringing cards like Monica, which I think is still popular in the running. It's good. You're gonna have a really bad aggro matchup, that's for sure. Especially when you're trying to 1-for-1 a deck that normally doesn't even care.
Yeah. But like the reason why I thought Mecha Frieza might see a drop is from what I've been seeing, mainly from what you've been showing me of your other discussions with people in your comments or Discords or even the Reddit. People, at least in regards to the Buhan list, have been thinking that it just has bad aggro matchups. this also references back to switching the deck list around and then taking away the 0 cost combos. So I feel like people are having a negative opinion on it because of that, which I don't think is correct. So I think Frieza should increase, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down. I definitely think Trunks would increase. I was surprised at the blue Vegeta a little bit.
You're surprised at the blue Vegeta?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think that deck is still fantastic and very good in the meta right now.
Well, I'm surprised that it was only 4.
Oh, you thought it was going to be more? I don't. I disagree. So 4 seems like the number I would put it at in a top 32, and especially at a first regional like this. I think Cell will see a bigger drop, in my opinion. I think Cell will like have maybe 4 to 3 decks showing in the top 32. I think Vegeta will have about 6. I think starter deck Goku will have about 4, 5, or 6, and I think Trunks will have also around that 4, 5, and 6. Trunks, I think Trunks you'll potentially see a lot more in a top 32. But I think Mecha Frieza will drop off a little bit. I think you're only going to see about maybe 8 in top 32. Because I think Trunks is gonna. There's a strong chance that if people are still on the Encouraging Presence Monica plan, that you will see more Trunks deck top 32 than Mecha Frieza decks top 32. Because if people were watching the Orlando stream and saw the Trunks deck just running a train, doing what it does, and then they sleeve that deck up and they start testing it against their Mecha Frieza players and locals, and they're still playing Monicas and just getting like trash because of the conversation that we just had, it's going to encourage other people to play that deck. Just be like, how do you beat this deck? I think it has a good matchup against literally everybody. It's just aggro. It's aggro like crazy, and the best way to beat it is by denying it card advantage. Which the only thing I can think of, like Brawly might have a decent matchup against the Trunks aggro deck, but not the Brawly leader. I'm sorry, the Brawly package. Just making them discard cards is, I think, their biggest downfall.
Cell absorption.
Cell absorption.
Cell absorption is a thing, or a card I think we definitely should discuss, but kind of just goes in with that Broly package. Broly package comes with a fairly sized body, but I do feel people are kind of missing out on cell absorption and just the power of discarding cards in this game.
Now, how many cell absorptions do you think were brought to Orlando? I wonder if we can find that out. Do you think it would only be sideboard, if you had to take a guess?
Only sideboard and maybe 4.
Let me see if I can browse through this real fast. See, this man's smart, playing Frieza with Encouraging Presence Monica on the side. Brought in 2 of them. That's what I like to see. What was he playing? Oh, he's playing... Yeah, he was playing Tempo. Yeah, Raging Attacking... Oh, he was... Ooh, Rager Attacker Vegeta's... That's gotta be a tough beat. Raging Attacking Attacker Vegeta. If you can't get a hold of Gohan's, I would play Furious Yell Vegeta over that one. There's not enough 4-drops, I think, in the meta where it's mattering. But
is that the counter one?
Yeah, the counter destroy a 4-drop. 4 or less.
Yeah. Furious Yell was definitely, of course, not as good as Gohan, but it did the job. I haven't seen any cell absorptions yet.
God, this is so annoying. The one thing that I wish there was production like Magic tournaments when it comes to deck lists, so I don't have to read people's handwriting.
Yeah.
It's the funniest thing on the planet. Super Saiyan Go tanks. I don't think a single person brought it in the board.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh no, there's Cell's birth. Crusher Ball, Mafuba. Now I know there was somebody playing a discard deck, but I think he was just playing beer, or I think he was just playing Brawly, and I think that's it. I don't think Cell Absorption was brought in. So I would only expect to see that card in the sideboard, and I didn't see a single one.
Yeah.
So I think 0 copies of Cell Absorption was represented at Orlando. So that card is a huge sleeper card. That is one thing that if you want to have a better matchup against your Frieza decks, Cell Absorption is a fairly good one to bring. Helps you awaken, especially if they're trying to just like Monica out things. You're basically 2-for-1ing them. While in Monica, they're actually not gaining any card advantage. That's the one thing to keep in mind about Monica. Monica does not technically give you card advantage. It replaces itself and it makes you take a life that you would have taken regardless, especially in the mirror. Because there's not a whole lot of critical other than if you're playing against a green deck. So, okay, that's not true. It gives you a guaranteed you're taking a life into your hand. But there's no pluses to that card. Cell Absorption, on the other hand, it replaces itself if you take a life, so same as Monica, but it makes your opponent discard 2 cards and they can't Cold Bloodlust it. So you, in that scenario, are plus 2ing against your opponent. Like
You could also, sorry,
just on general board state, you're just plus 2. You are now plus 2 cards ahead of your opponent. In the long run. So they have to make 2 leader attacks to your 0 leader attacks when they're awakened to catch up to you at that rate, which doesn't happen very often. So the best that they're going to do is they're going to be -1 card on you the rest of the game.
another thing, since we're talking about Cell Absorption, someone at our local area has been, including us as well, have been playtesting with a more hero-based deck.
So you're saying like Vegeta's,
the blue one, the red one. Ryan was using a Cell Leader, which goes into the Cell Absorption conversation. Now he was playing Kale's, the green promo Gohan, bundle Gokus. I'm sure a few other minions or units, but it was really spell based or extra card based. Cell Absorptions, Result of Trainings, Beans, Raging Awakening, Gohans, etc. And was just using Cell, probably second best leader, or you can even tie up for first with Frieza. The removal and card draw, amazing card. You can use Tien as well. I wouldn't be surprised if someone's trying to use that type of iteration of a deck at Vegas.
Now the thing is how much red do you think you would see at Vegas? How much like big red? You know, like Jirins, Boos, Bobbities, all that kind of stuff. How much big red do you think you would see? Because what Cell has a big problem with is like we sideboard for it, is Ghost Tanks. Now Ghost Tanks has fallen off of really strong popularity of being a really good card to being a way worse card because Cold Bloodlust is now a free, quote unquote, a free card to play against Ghost Tanks. And Cell, I don't think can really beat that card. I think if you land a Ghost Tanks on turn 5, or better yet, if you Bobbity into 2 Ghost Tanks against Cell at a healthy enough life total or with at least 1 or 2 mana up, I don't think you can lose the game from there. I think it's near impossible. They try to flip themselves too quickly. They're wasting at least 4 cards unless if they have a Sensu Bean. If they have a Sensu Bean, they're wasting 2. 1 from the Sensu Bean and then 1 from the Ghost Tanks attacking. And even then, you can make them waste even more cards by putting your cards on your tokens. It's just if Cell if you think Cell is going to be too popular, or if you see people testing enough Cell or anything like that, Ghost Tanks is the counter to it. The card is really hard to beat for a Cell player. They have too many one for ones. Their hero ability is a one for one. It just doesn't take care of it well enough. And you can, if you're also playing Cold Bloodlust, so if you're on the Frieza deck, you can Cold Bloodlust their Kales and all their other stuff. Anything that answers it really well, I should say. Agree, disagree?
I definitely agree. I mean, like you said, us personally, we've been boarding them in for quite a while. The cells in our area have slightly dropped off. We've had some Brolys, some starter deck Gokus, mirror matches of Mecha Freezes mainly. But yeah, it's almost a guaranteed win. I don't necessarily like saying it that way, but
it puts you in a super favorable position where it's hard to lose. It's possible to lose, but it's hard to lose if you play it correctly. If you tap out and die on a crackback, well, that's just your own fault at that rate. You want to be able to play it in a very safe manner where you're almost 100% sure you're not going to die on a crackback. I think Cell has a really hard Mecha Frieza matchup on basis. I don't think that there's a lot of spell lists running around. I think every Cell deck at Orlando was all on.
I think it was droids.
Yeah, everybody was.
Or a perfect Cell.
I think everybody was playing Cell droids, trying to get into Perfect Force Cell using just droid ramp, or just using the droids to ramp it up.
Yeah, I'm seeing a mono green. We saw the red green up top, which I really like that deck.
The red.
Not necessarily that list. Not saying that it was bad, but I haven't been able to play Cell very often. I think I've played it 2 to 4 times at most. So my knowledge for that deck is pretty low, unfortunately. But
I think what Cell has a good matchup against everybody not playing Cold Bloodlust. And if you go into a meta where you don't think Frieza is going to be as popular as it probably was at Orlando, Cell is a very good deck to bring, especially Cell droids, to just do the thing. Oh, okay. Cell Absorption. So the guy playing the discard deck was playing 3 Cell Absorption in the main.
Okay.
But he was also playing Brawlies. In my opinion, I don't think I would have played the Brawlies. I think I would have just played like 3 to 4 Cell Absorptions in the main, and then just play the tempo list. So like make it take like your 3-drop slot. So like you can take out, like a go tanks, or if you're playing Piccolos or anything defensive, you can probably fit them somewhere in there. Probably have to work some numbers out, but definitely if you cut it like the Broly package, you can work it in there pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think that would be a really good deck to bring. I think it has a really good aggro matchup because you're playing Cell Absorption. I think
good Mecha Frieza matchup.
Good Mecha Frieza matchup because you're playing a counter to Mecha Frieza, which is Cell Absorption. Basically, it's just like Cell Absorption is a card that's really good against a lot of matchups. And a lot of decks have a problem with it, just like getting mind rotted. Just discarding 2 is a little rough.
And they have the bodies. Go tanks, 3-drop, 5-drop.
Yeah. The go
everything
tanks,
else.
3-drop, 5-drop. Also, they're playing bundles, so they have more cycling.
Promo Gohan, if
was he
you're
playing Monica's?
Lucky.
He was not playing Monica's. No, he wasn't. Nice. That's what's up. He probably had a little bit rougher matchup because Monica, in my opinion, is the counter to Cell Absorption. Hasn't been tested yet, but Pretty
We'll
good,
let you know in a little bit.
pretty good counter against cell absorption. Just the options of what you get to discard is a little bit more important against cell absorption. Back to my, I know I'm counter opinionating myself when it came to cell absorption, where Monica is not a plus and cell absorption is a plus in your favor. The options of what you get to discard and also the ability to awaken faster gets you to that point where you can start coming back a lot sooner. That's where you can enter those scenarios where you might be able to awaken and get the card advantage back with your leader attacks. It's the one thing to keep in mind. Also, if you start making better 2-for-1s or start making them play more cards to save themselves, you're gaining that card advantage that you lost initially back. But other than that, there's really like no other super good draw cards to counter a discard 2. Right now, there's no.
Not yet, anyway. I'm hoping for set 3, set 4. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some crazy draw spells or minions.
Yeah, but for now, Monica, I feel like, is the best card to counter cell absorption. Would I main deck it? No. Would I sideboard it? Yes. Because in a main deck, I want as much versatility and as little dead draws as I can possibly give myself. Do you think you'll see Ginyu? Think Ginyu will show up?
I think if any, we'll get like the one.
Do you think you'll just see a one of? Nobody else will be playing it?
I really don't see a point in playing Ginyu when you have Mega Frieza.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely a different play style, though. So people who are used to playing Ginyu can probably still get a lot of games won with Ginyu, because it's just a different kind of play style.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it's a set 1 control deck, a set 1 3-color control deck, but Frieza you can play tap out control. It just does it better. You just have to be willing to possibly go out of your comfort zone, switch a few things up.
Would you? All right, let's say you're going into the meta. Let's say that people were doing. Let's say the event opened on Friday, so the day before the tournament. Let's say they were running side events and stuff like that. If you scouted a lot of not Mecha Frieza, but you saw more of the aggro decks or more of like these mid-range starter deck Gokus, Vegetas, all those kind of decks, would there be a world where you would bring Goku Black to play land destruction? Do you think like there's a potential chance that you see just like 1 or 2 Goku Black decks who are just like trying to play just like, ooh, people aren't playing Cold Bloodlust because they're trying to just beat the decks that are playing Cold Bloodlust, so I'm just gonna Armageddon them.
So me personally, once I lock in a deck, I'm pretty locked in. Whatever I see on opening day or whatever, I try not to let that sway me too much.
But I mean, like, have a little empathy. Let's say that like you're not 100% locked in. Let's say like you're still floating an idea. And let's say you're also a rogue deck player.
I'm a rogue deck player. Okay.
Yeah. As a rogue deck player, would you play Goku Black in a scan of a meta seeing that kind of stuff?
The thought would cross my mind. It would be a risky play.
Okay.
That's I really like
that's how I would feel. Continue though.
It's one of those trying to reference back, but it's definitely like the Ginyu Mecha Frieza thing. It's your comfort kind of deal. That would be a very rogue, very huge gamble for a regional.
Okay. What do you think about starter deck Goku? Now I know that we've only played against it and never really played with it, but
I played with it once.
In theory, would you bring a starter deck Goku list? The popular ones are blue green. You know, what things I've heard is blue green starter deck Goku is the best deck on the planet. It's better than Mecha Frieza. It's just busted. I personally disagree with that, but you know,
I I do disagree with that.
if
I'm not saying it's bad. Again,
if you hear
um,
from one person, there's probably other people that have that same opinion.
I would sleeve up. I was gonna make a bold statement and say I would sleeve up a starter deck Goku over Goku Black.
Oh, I would definitely bring starter deck Goku over Goku Black. 100%. 100%. I'd
But
even
I
play.
think the sole fact that Cold Bloodlust is, well, Mecha Frieza is as impactful as he is. I don't think playing Goku Black is a good idea. Uh, so yeah, starter deck Goku. I don't think it's the best deck on the planet. I don't think it's the best blue green deck on the planet. Uh, but it has its place. I do think it's a good leader.
I think it sits at the same place where Vegeta's at, where it's a very good deck.
The blue one.
Yeah, yeah, the blue Vegeta. It's a
Okay.
very good deck, but it has its obvious weaknesses. The biggest one is not being able to play Cold Bloodlust. Um, that's probably like its main weakness. Cold Bloodlust is just such a meta shifting card. It's insane. Here, okay, so I'm looking at a list of this guy I think was playing blue yellow. Yeah,
Do you have a name?
George. Jesus, you're killing me. I can't.
All right, I won't put you on the spot. Is it near the top or near the bottom?
Bottom.
Okay.
It might be the last list actually, second to last. What do you think of Furthering Destruction Champa in the main deck on a Mecha Frieza deck? Do you think
Mecha
it?
Freeze.
Do you think it'd be something you would worry about, or do you think it would be something you wouldn't even think about
Is
twice?
this blue, green, yellow?
This is
Beam.
no. This is blue yellow.
Blue
It
yellow.
looks more like mono blue, just plain Cold Bloodlust in Furthering
Okay.
Destruction Champa.
So I kind of wanted to play Further Destruction Champa, and while we were doing the three color, the green one.
So you wanted to just like play all four colors, but the fourth color is just for Furthering Destruction Champa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for an extra 10k with puts Frieza at 25 with a double breaker could come in handy in a discard deck, but
Now the thing is it's a mind game card. It's one of those. It's just like, do you have it? But the thing that I think makes it really weak is that Jocko, I think, is a card that's a 3 to a 4 of in main boards, and I think Further Destruction Champa gets weaker if you see more Jockos. Now your card still gets double strike that you put it on there, but Jocko just like it just like makes it's a 15k point swing. You know, it makes you lose 1,000. It makes me gain 500.
for Frieza, or actually for any deck that's using Champa, definitely I think Jocko's an amazing card. Definitely kind of just been on the rise, really. If you're using Champa, you have to put in at least another 1 to 2 cards in combo.
So you
So
think?
it's a heavy investment.
Do you think? Do you think you'd only play Champa just to have the niche situation that your opponent's at 2, you attack with your leader, they say no negates, you draw like they say no negates, thinking that they're not going to die, and then you draw a card and just dump your whole hand with Furthering Destruction Champa on there to just like cheese out a game?
I've thought about it in the green one, not the Buhan list that we've been using, but when we were playing the Broly one,
So
I strongly considered it.
when you have so when you're playing a deck that has a bit more flexibility to it,
Yes, I think it's worth it.
you think
I think
it'd
it
be
has
worth
its
it.
place. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm kind of off of the card. I think it's only good in the aggro decks. I don't think I'd ever play. I think it would be. It's one of those. It's just like my argument of niche cards. I don't like niche cards.
Yeah, I've also never play tested it. I've wanted to. I don't have uh, access to Broly a Broly package at the moment.
I could help you out with that.
Yeah, it's definitely something I'd like to try. Uh, I think that would be one of the things come the 12th when the hero and villain
Something to think about.
sets are spoiled. Uh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's something interesting. So I feel jeez. Yeah, there's merits to it being in there. Me personally, I wouldn't bring it, and but I would expect it. That's one of those
Be-
things.
because if it's in a list with cell absorption slash Broly or both, that package kind of deals with the Jocko situation to a certain degree and turns the Champa a little bit less of a niche card because are you going to keep a Jocko or are you going to keep or just got a combo piece? Mm, if you haven't really seen anything, I definitely wouldn't play a Champa and mana unless you absolutely have to. But
Well, it's just like
uh,
playing Sun Goten in a blue red deck. Sometimes
ex-
it's just like worthless and it's just mana, but it makes your mana get a little weird when you're trying to play double red, double blue cards.
yeah, but if you're trying to, it starts out as a niche situation, and you don't want them to know that you have the ability to make that cheese play. The fact that you're playing a discard package, they will probably discard those Jockos.
Okay.
If you're not playing if you're not playing a green leader, I'm going to assume you're not going to play a random TN, which I have done. Uh, so Jocko becomes less mandatory. I'll be more inclined to discard it with Broly, cell absorption, etc. And that's when those situations came up where if I was playing Champa, this would probably win me the game right now. They're low
Okay.
on cards. I can add a double break to my
So
leader.
so you're saying it's just a niche situation, but one that you see commonly enough playing a deck that discards their whole entire hand, where playing around things like Jocko are non-existent.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. That would be something that like playtesting would kind of prove more and more and more.
Yeah.
So here's another thing. So here's another Reddit post. I forgot to bring this up. I scanned over it like 8 times. So color breakdown somebody did. So 31 of the 32 decks are playing blue. That's not a shocker.
Do you have the link?
It's on the Reddit. It's a Reddit comment.
Oh, okay. Oops. Oh, there it
Um,
is.
Also, apparently somebody made a post. There was only 10 decks that weren't playing Objection, which also makes sense. I think Objection is probably one of the strongest cards. It's really good against Cell. It's really good at Mecha Frieza for
It really helps the aggro matchup.
obvious reasons, and it also makes your aggro matchup really good. If you turn one Objection as Mecha Frieza, your aggro matchup became more in your favor the time that you did that. So let's see. Red was at 7, potential eighth due to sideboard Kabas. That's a okay. So I guess this guy sideboarded into red. That's the only thing I could think of. Green. There was 19 of the 32 decks with green, and then 14 of the 32 decks playing yellow, which is the Mecha Frieza, Ginyu, and Golden Frieza decks. So the yellow leaders were playing yellow for obvious reasons. Okay. So taking a look at this, you're going to be seeing infinite amount of blue. Personally, I think red is the second best color right now.
Really
Um,
interesting.
well, outside of yellow, I should mention. Outside of Cold Bloodlust and Crusher Ball.
I honestly wasn't even counting yellow.
Okay, you think green is better than red?
Um,
That sounded a little
I'm
threatening. I don't. I just want to know your opinions on it.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay.
I'm more of a
Do,
blue green, but I've
do you want me to put my argument first, or do you want to put it first?
sure. I think my argument's pretty weak.
Okay.
So
So, reason why I think red is better. All right, coming from one of the halves that did the Buhan deck is Jiren. I think is the best removal card in the game.
all right, I'm gonna
Um,
stop you right there. I would have accepted a win for red if you just said Jiren. But yeah, Jiren is amazing.
so
Continue.
Jiren is the best removal card in the game with the ability to remove two threats instead of one, and one card is stronger than anything else. Its only weakness is that they can save the threats through comboing, but at that rate, you're getting he's turning into a discard spell, and that's also the reason that we play one energy boosted Beerus is when they do those situations, you could still just kill the threat anyway. That's like super strong, and it's really scary. Um, and when it happens, it's a nightmare for your opponent that they just like wasted one or two cards on top of losing their threat. It's a niche situation, but it's also the fifth removal card is why we do that. So Jiren is extremely strong. Probably, yeah, he's the best removal spell in the game. Uh, Ghost Tanks is a game ender against decks that aren't playing Cold Bloodlust. You'll never see that card against Cold Bloodlust, in my opinion. So anything, if you see a yellow leader, you're never really gonna play you're never gonna play Ghost Tanks. But things against like every other leader, every other non-yellow leader, that card is really good. Um, they also get the Sun. They get both of the Sun Gohan Adolescence cards. So the 6 mana Gohan and the promo Gohan. The promo Gohan probably being one of the best 3 drops in the game. Um, Probably number 2 would be Gotenks or Android or Piccolo. There's like probably your list of 3 drops that are really good. But the red one is definitely the most versatile one of all of them, and easily one of the strongest 3 drops in the game. Its only problem is it's 2 red instead of 1. If that card was 1 red, it would be busted. Just easier to cast is a big deal. And yeah, the 6 mana Gohan is just that card was a mistake and a half in my opinion. The making a 2 mana double striker that can kill their boos that you could bait out with them attacking with them with kabas and stuff like that, just to steal 2 damage off of them is insane. Also with the ability to put it under the boo package, just there's infinite amount of versatility to that
And,
card on top
and
of
a
all
quick
that.
note, because you brought up the 6 drop Gohan, and at least it's come up a few times in our local area. You can kill that with the Sun Goten Family of Justice.
And also you can kill it with Raging Attacking Vegeta as a counter.
Of course, if the cost is still lowered by their hand value, but
Yes.
I do feel some people might miss that.
Oh, definitely. Some people will probably miss that. I don't think that situation ever came up on stream. So probably not a lot of people even knew that was a real thing. But yes, Gohan is a 2 mana card while it's on the field and your opponent has 3 or less cards in hand. And on top of that, red also has Kaba, which is probably the strongest 1-drop in the game still, next to like Boo and all that kind of stuff. Boo and all the tutors. Next to all the tutors, Kaba's the most aggressive and awesome one. Red has Mighty Mask, which is easily I think it's the only plus card in the game, if I'm not mistaken, other than Prince of Vegeta's Prince of Speed. But it's a two Mighty Mask is a 2 mana card, which makes it far superior to Prince of Speed. But that's like it's a +1 for 2 mana, which is bananas. That and also the cards that it can get is insane. If you're playing green red, you're getting your free 10k combo And if you're playing blue red with it and your leader's blue, then you get the unyielding spirit trunks, I think is what it's called. That card is just outrageous. Um, and I think that's every red card. That's nuts. Also, casually, you have Bobbity, which is probably the most busted card in the game. But Cold Bloodlust exists, so its power level went down significantly from a this card is an auto include in all red decks to this card's mediocre.
And Crusher Ball. People might not know that as well, but if you Crusher Ball, whatever Bobbity brings out, it does tap both.
It does tap both. Same with Ghost Tanks. If you play Ghost Tanks and you Crusher Ball the auto trigger on Ghost Tanks, all the tokens get tapped. Same thing applies. If you counter one play, you counter everything that comes out with the play. But yeah, that's the argument for red. I'm not sure if you want to even try to argue green after that. Also, on top of all red, if you Cold Bloodlust the threats are just threatening as is. They don't need to be like they don't like come into play and do something. If you Cold Bloodlust a red threat, it's threatening the turn that it's active again. While green, on the other hand, if you Cold Bloodlust a green threat, it's not as threatening as a red threat is. So Kales and Gohans, when you play 4-mana Gohan and you Cold Bloodlust it, it's a 15k critical. So it's relatively the same value as a 3-mana blue card with critical. Kale, the plus about Kale is that it draws you a card. It's probably the strongest ability on that card. It's also probably why they're $20, $30 right now.
Really?
Oh yeah, Kales went up significantly.
Nice. I mean, yeah, you should probably definitely play red. If you have to choose between red or green, you should probably choose red. Mainly everything Cody just said. I just have a very high opinion on discarding cards in this game.
Discarding cards is really good, and that's what makes green really strong. But playing
in a Cold Bloodlust meta as we are, you should definitely choose red.
Agreed, 100%. Now, when Cold Bloodlust either becomes weaker or aggro becomes better, if the new set promotes aggro better, then you're going to be seeing less Frieza decks, in my opinion. So green will see a resurgence. That's something to keep in mind for the next regional that happens. But obviously, I think we'll make another video after this regional, so it'll be really interesting. I'm trying to think of what else. What are your opinions on bad ring laser in the main board? Do you think it's a main board card, or do you think it's a sideboard card? Do you think if you have flex spots, would you bring bad ring laser over other cards, or do you think you would put something a bit more versatile in there?
I think for us, we were debating on putting it in the red list, but not the green list. How many copies are we talking? Just X amount?
Yeah, X amount. I don't think I'd ever put in 1, and I don't think I'd ever put in 3 or 4 in the main. So I think like 2 or 3 would be the number you could convince me on.
I'd probably go 2 if I was gonna main board.
Do you think you have to play the combo Frieza if you're playing that?
I think it helps. You could either play the combo Frieza or just go up and count with Crusher Ball. Because based on the matchup, Crusher Ball's not worthless, but less impactful. So it's an easy discard with Battering Laser. And then we talked about it a little bit earlier, but some matchups are Cold Bloodlust is just almost worthless. Mainly against red matchups.
So here's a good argument. Do you want to continue anything on your thought before I cut you off? Because I'm gonna 180 this to something else.
No, go for it.
Okay, so back to the argument about red being better than green in this Cold Bloodlust meta. Now, here's the thing. Would you ever play 4 Crusher Ball, 3 Cold Bloodlust in the main board?
In this meta right now.
In this meta right now. If you were going to Vegas, and let's say you're bringing... Let's say you're bringing blue-yellow Frieza or blue-green Frieza, and you're looking at spots for, you have like a couple of flex spots, let's say like 1 flex spot, and you're playing 4 Cold Bloodlust and 2 Crusher Balls, and you have 1 flex spot open. Would you personally ever go to 4 Crusher Ball and 3 Cold Bloodlust to have a better game 1 against the red matchup, and put the other Cold Bloodlust in the sideboard, obviously?
It's possible.
I think I would, personally. So I think Crusher Ball is a more impactful card in this meta and what people are exposed to. Crusher Ball is a better card than Cold Bloodlust right now. My opinion. Cold
People are going
Bloodlust,
very minion heavy.
people are like, well, the thing is just like Kaba. Okay, so like, what's making me base my opinion on this is 2 things: the Trunks aggro deck and the Buhan deck that we made. Now, the Buhan deck. Here's the thing. So I thought nobody was gonna bring this to the Vegas regional. So the first video that I made was the deck profile. The deck profile, I think it's sitting at 1.3K views. You know, it's got not a crazy amount of exposure, but for a small community of people who watch deck profiles, especially for a game that they're interested in, the deck has got a decent amount of exposure. Now, there's been infinite amount of criticisms that I've seen about the deck where it's like, oh, it has a bad aggro matchup and stuff like that. Now, when I hear all that and I hear all the things that other people say about me where they're trying to change stuff and stuff like that, it's I disagree with a lot of the changes, and I still sit on the main board to this day. But I think I think I've swayed more opinions back onto the deck outside of the first play testing video. So the first play testing video that we did was against the first and the third place deck of the Orlando regionals, and it went 3-1 against both of those matchups. But the thing that everybody said is that it lost to the Trunks aggro deck, which was one of the top 8 decks, and it feels like one of the breakout decks. This is why I think that deck is going to be really popular, is because that deck got mentioned to me, I think, 2 to 3 to 4 times. So that deck got a lot of exposure, basically because they put it on Kitchen Table Meta's stream more often than any other deck, if I had to take a guess of why. But so like the big thing is the Buhan deck probably gained more popularity because of our playtesting video against the Trunks aggro deck, where we showed that the matchup isn't as bad as what people were saying, because the deck went 4-3, and you said that you misplayed on 2 of those where you probably could have won the game fairly easily if you played it correctly or had more experience with it. So if you take out the cheese win that I had where I got a turn 2 win, the matchup becomes more like 5-2 or 6-1. And if that's the case, then I think that I might have brought more popularity, or we might brought more popularity to that deck, where I think with the combination of me showing red is probably the second best color, and also the popularity of the Trunks aggro deck, that Crusher Ball as a 4 of is stronger than Cold Bloodlust as a 4 of. Based solely on that.
And I agree.
Okay.
I've been, at least in our maybe a week or 2, I think we've done all of this. Cold Bloodlust has taken a backseat, I'd say.
yeah, but the threat of Cold Bloodlust is like the big thing. But if you play around it and play correctly around it, it's a little bit harder. The card becomes worse and worse, especially if you're building around it as well. While Crusher Ball, on the other hand, is a card that people expect less and literally just stops people's turns. Like, especially against like Kaba, you save yourself, they don't get to gain a life, so they lose a card. They literally just like played an energy, played Kaba, and you replaced Crusher Ball in your hand, and now you're at 7 cards to your opponent's 4 cards. Um, it's really good, and you get to kill their Kaba on the backswing. And if they want to save Kaba, they have to use 2 cards from their hand out of their Kaba, so now they're down to a 2-card hand to your 7-card hand. Yes. No, 6-card hand, because you play an energy. So,
and if you have a fairly decent start, using the Buhan deck as an example, hopefully you have like a Hercule or a Boo, and you can have a second attempt.
Yep, and if you get the second attempt, it's 100% dying, and they just wasted more cards. So that's like that's and if they play Mai in the main deck, and they play Mai as a blocker, and they block your leader attack, and then they save it from that, you're still getting 2 cards. It's that I think Crusher Ball at 4 and Cold Bloodlust at 3, if you're looking for flex spots, is a real thing that I could see happening. And then just put the 4th Cold Bloodlust in the board, so in the matchups where it's not as good, you can take out all the Crusher Balls, and now you have 4 spots in your main deck for sideboard cards to make your matchup better. That's a real thing that can happen. When you see the Bobbity decks, and you see like that's playing Ghost Tanks and all that kind of stuff, when you're seeing green decks, Crusher Ball's not as good against them. Same thing with Cell. You get 4 cards to take out, leaving out 4 cards in your main board slots, for your side deck. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind, is how much sideboard tech you want to bring into the main deck for certain matchups, so sideboarding gets a little bit easier on you when you want to bring in more cards. Because the one big thing that's a real big problem, especially with sideboarding, is you put in too many good cards, and you take out, or you put in too much tech in your sideboard for one specific matchup, but there's too many good cards in your main deck that it's hard to take those out and keep the integrity of your deck while still putting in sideboard cards. That's a one big thing.
If you're siding in more than 4 cards, you're probably siding in too many, to be honest. I'd probably put a cap on 5.
For a specific matchup, I could see that. 5 or 6 is where I'd be sitting.
This also depends on like what you're playing. For the Buhan list, when I was taking out more than 4 or 5, I thought I was messing with...
You're messing too much with the integrity.
Ratios of the actual combo.
Yeah.
Or a combo of the deck.
I agree. Now, I don't know what else we can go into. This has been going on. We're at 1:23.
Okay. Yeah.
Freeze's Call. We're all off of that card, right? Everybody I fucking hate
Terrible
that
card.
Still hate that card. Okay, glad we're all on there. I think we covered a shitload of stuff. I can't really think of other things I would want to bring up. Can you think of anything? If not, we're going into... I have something small that I want to bring up. That's just going to close it out.
I think we covered everything. Or most of everything. Most of it, yeah.
Do you think that if you would listen to this conversation, do you think you would be going into Vegas with more floating opinions in your head?
Yes. But I think there's not so many opinions that I wouldn't be able to sit down. Hopefully you have like a playtesting group, or
a lot of this is just like all speculation. Like the regionals in 2 days. Like nobody, if you watch this video, you're basically just like taking all this information in real quick and just trying to apply it in a day. You know,
Yeah.
like a lot of this is just like, what do you expect? Well, here's a good. So other than, yeah, I'm rambling right now. It's you're trying to apply all this knowledge with only like a day worth of testing. If you watch it as soon as I upload it. Um, but other than that, so is there anything else you can think of? Is there anything you would want to bring up?
Don't play Monica. At least not in the main board. If you've play tested it in the sideboard, good on ya. We haven't had the chance to do that yet. Please don't play Frieza's Call. It's a bad idea. Good luck.
And just everybody, good luck, have fun. That's going to the regionals. And if also you're watching the regionals, um, any of the points that we bring up, try to look for them. It easily makes you a better player, makes you a better deck builder, gives you better thoughts. Not there's no such thing as too much knowledge, especially when you start making your own opinions. You start forming a play style, and then you can build around that so things work better for you. Obviously, everything that we mentioned here is strictly our opinions, and we don't think is 100% correct. There's arguments on every single side that you can make, regardless of what we say. But this is
except for the Frieza's Call. That's pretty.
that's 100%.
That's pretty. That's 100%.
You don't like taking up 8 slots in your deck for fucking 4 vanilla 15k beaters?
Oh my gosh.
And a dead card to draw?
I'll give you a chance to prove to me that Monica is at least decent in the sideboard, but I won't budge on the Frieza's Call thing.
Okay, so the next thing is, what crazy thing do you want to see? So the thing that I came up in my mind is I want to see a Boo kill a Jiren. I want to see a Boo or a Bulma. Bulma would be better in this scenario. I want to see a Bulma kill a Jiren.
Crazy thing. I've kind of seen that Bulma situation. Ryan played a Bulma and put it up to 25 to 30k on me.
Oh, so you wanted, so he was just raw dogging it, like trying to combo.
Yeah, so he could play the Gohan, the 6-drop Gohan for 2 and beat me.
The scenario that I was putting is I want to see King Vegeta just fucking. I just want to see King Vegeta just.
Nice side deck card, by the way.
Sadly, we cut it.
Yes, in the new one, yeah, we did cut it.
We did cut it, but it is a good side deck card for Frieza. It counters Jiren really well, especially if you're playing Sacred Guard. It does a pretty good job with that. It lets you be able to take a life. And then I'm trying to think of other crazy things. I want to see a TN get Jocko twice in a row.
That'd be nice.
That'd be some funny stuff. I also want to see some spice. The biggest thing I want to see is I want to see some who would have fucking thought of this kind of shit spice? Like who abused you to come up with this deck that nobody said was good and nobody even saw the green Goku leader. I want to see the green Goku leader deck that just makes it to top 32 and was just what the fuck?
Wait, there's not a green Goku leader.
There's a green Goku leader. He's a piece of garbage.
What? Already blown my mind.
Oh, it's in set 1. I might be crazy here. I might be thinking of the wrong one.
Guarantee you're crazy.
I'm literally.
Oh, wow! There is a green Goku leader.
Okay. I was right. Yeah, it just has natural double strike.
Wow! If you do well with a green Goku leader, you have my praise.
Dude, think about it. You could TN and then flip it over, and then it just still has double strike.
Let's see. The Bulma one, the Jocko one that you said is pretty good. I want to see some bad ring laser. Let's turn the game into Magic for a little bit and just.
There has been a moment on stream where 2 bad ring lasers has been cast against each other.
Ooh, nice.
they did like fist bump, or they did like the, just like the respect, like high five afterwards when it happened.
I feel like you just have to.
So I think you got to
Um,
push the count. I want to see a three bad ring laser. I want to see a three bad ring laser volley. I want to see someone bad ring laser someone's cold bloodlust, then you bad ring laser back, and then they bad ring laser you back. But they better fucking win the game after that shit happens.
yeah. I kind of want to see the green Gohan leader, the adolescent one, the one
Oh,
that blows up the board.
oh, okay, okay.
I really like that one, and if you can get the troll one, the father,
Yeah, father.
the triple strike one, or you lose the game one, which we have play tested
Dude,
and is on a video.
the deck is so much fun. Um, that would be funny to see someone win with one of those.
Yeah, that would be
I-
nice.
I'm trying to think of some other insanity moments that you could come up with. I want to see someone bring Buhan, obviously.
I really want someone to play Buhan, but I also, like Cody mentioned early on, people have been making changes, which is of course fine, encouraged. Uh, but some of those lists have been interesting, to say the least. I don't want someone to see it do poorly, or see a version do poorly and just think the deck's bad, because I think it's really good.
And
Uh,
yeah, and obviously I think the list that we are playing is really good, and I still stand by it to this day. If I had to play in a regional, if I was going to Vegas in a regional, I would play Buhan, 100%.
I think about playing the green one, but I'd probably play Buhan in the end.
And then what do you want to see? What do you think will win?
What do I think will win?
Yeah. What leader and what variant?
Mecha Frieza, blue green, or slash blue green yellow. Uh, Using either like a sub-absorption Gotenks list or a Broly list with the Broly package. 4-2-4 or 4-3-4, your preference. We've had success with 4-3-4.
I think blue yellow tempo Frieza. I think blue yellow tempo Frieza is going to win. And the reason why I say that is I think the list that that we tested yesterday, I didn't make a video about it because somebody sent me that deck list and I just kind of made it better. So I don't want to put that dude's I don't want to put, knowledge up on that one. I'll probably do it like Saturday to show. But I think every deck that you build right now is worthless until the new cards come out. Could change everything
Agreed.
significantly. Um, I think blue yellow Frieza is going to win a Wii Sacred Guard list. And the reason I say that is because I don't think people are going to be playing blue red Frieza. It's in my opinion, I think it's either going to be a blue red Frieza deck or it's going to be, so if somebody brings blue red, I think blue red will, like the Buhan list, or even just like this aggro blue red list of Frieza, I think has a really high chance of winning. Um, but I think blue yellow mid range Frieza could take the whole tournament. But if somebody, but I want to root for Buhan. I want to say Buhan's gonna win the whole thing. Uh, um, but knowing what people have said, I don't think people are gonna be playing it or gonna be off of it. So I think the blue yellow list is currently like the best list to bring. And I think people have a better grasp of that one. Just like Balming, we Sacred Guard, play a bunch of like extra cards that do a lot of stuff, and just like make a pretty hard to beat board. So I think blue yellow is going to win. Trunks would be my second go-to. Will be winning the tournament. I think Trunks was this rogue deck that nobody saw coming, and I think now that everybody saw it, they're tweaking it, making it better, and I think it's gonna get better and better as it goes on because I think the deck is still really hard to beat. So yeah, I think that's what I would put up. So first pick, blue yellow Frieza. Second pick, blue red Trunks. What I actually want to see win is Buhan or blue red Frieza aggro variant.
I'm pretty close to that. I as well would want to see Buhan. I think that would be really awesome. Second, blue, green, yellow Frieza. Broly package or some cell absorption tempo package. And then I'm gonna throw in like a cell spell list with some criticals.
I don't think anybody's gonna bring that fucking cell spell list. Here's
No,
why.
nobody will. Nobody will. And you shouldn't. But if it wins, it'll be cool.
That's why I think Sacred Guard is gonna take a tournament. It's just because I think people might just like want to play Cell because Buhan, it's got a decent matchup against Buhan. But also like it's really good against the aggro decks. It plays Tien. It's just Cell.
Yeah.
But it can't beat Sacred Guard. It has a really hard time breaking out of a 20k blocker that can't be killed. And on top of that, I think the deck is just too tempo for it. And when they start playing like Vegeta Princess Speed and stuff like that, they can just start chipping you away. You get yourself to 2, and then just Sacred Guards just keep coming down. Unremovable threats unless you attack them. So that's why I think blue yellow is going to win. Because I think a lot of people are going to be bringing green, and Sacred Guard has a really good matchup against green decks. But yeah,
it'll be interesting.
It'll be
the last tournament before the third, or I guess second shakeup since Set 2 came out. But
yeah, once the 12th comes out, we're definitely gonna be building some decks, and a lot of playtesting videos will probably come out of that one because those are fun.
That, or we'll give you half and we'll keep half for some secret spice.
We don't have any. That's the thing. We don't have reason to keep secret spice.
Yeah, I know. I wish we did.
if we had a reason to keep secret spice, I wouldn't be making these fucking videos. Okay. Other than that, is there anything? There's nothing else I want to mention.
No, I'm good.
If you want, you can watch the other shit to see why we think Buhan's so good. It gets referenced a lot, I guess, throughout this whole conversation. So if you want to watch it, you go watch it. There's a lot of playtesting videos that I put up. By a lot, I mean 2, but they're each like 2 hours long, so you get to see a decent amount of stuff. But yeah, other than that, hopefully video helps people. It helps with our speculations, helps with what we think of the meta right now, and what we expect people to bring. If anybody has any questions, let me know. I love hearing feedback and I love giving answers. All right. Other than that, we're out. Peace.
Peace.